What would you do if, in the final moment of your life, what you saw wasn't darkness but the future of all mankind? I'm not a prophet. I'm not a fortune teller, nor a madwoman screaming about the end of the world. I'm just a mother, an ordinary woman living in a small town called Denton, Texas. A woman who once loved, once lost, once broke, and once died truly died. For exactly 17 minutes, my heart stopped beating. My body turned cold and blue. The monitor displayed a flat, lifeless line. The doctors said there was no hope. But I saw the light. I saw familiar faces, loved ones who had long since passed. I saw a garden, pools of water, souls. I saw myself as the version of me I had always dreamed of becoming. And then, I saw the future. It wasn't some Hollywood vision filled with UFOs and robots. It was a harsh truth, beautiful and terrifying truth. A future that could happen, if we don't change. I'm going to tell you what I saw. Not to frighten you, but to remind you of something. Something this world is slowly forgetting. We once knew how to love. It was a day in May 2023. Texas was deep in storm season. The news warned everyone to stay indoors, take shelter, and shut their doors. But I did the opposite. I got in my car and drove away from home because something inside me was saying, I had to go. I had to help. I had to be there. That's how I met the stranger stranded on I-35E in the storm, waving frantically for help. I stopped. I opened my door. I shouted, "Get in. Hurry." He turned toward me, his face full of fear. And just as my hand touched his, lightning struck. I don't remember the sound of the blast. I don't remember the smell of burning skin. I only remember falling backward, falling into the light. And that's when the journey began. If death isn't the end, then maybe it's a warning? A letter? A mirror held up to the soul of the world? I don't believe I was chosen. I just believe I was shown. And if you're still breathing, if you still have time, let me finish the story. Because what I saw hasn't happened yet. But it's getting closer. There's a kind of loneliness that no noise can drown out. Not because no one's around, but because there's no meaning within. My name is Elena Rivers. I'm 48 years old. Widowed for 6 years. I live with my teenage son, Caleb, in a small house on the outskirts of Denton. The windows face west, where there used to be a garden that my husband planted. Now it's overgrown with weeds. Much like the memories that spread through my mind, thick, tangled, aching. Mom, have you ever truly laughed? Caleb asked me that once, when he was just 14. And I couldn't answer. I used to be the kind of woman who laughed loudly, talked endlessly, and loved wildly. But my husband's death, a highway accident caused by a truck with failed brakes, snuffed out something inside me. I wake up at 5:30 a.m., brew my coffee, black as the late afternoons inside my heart. I work as an administrative assistant at a dental clinic, a place where people come in with pain and leave with a smile. Except for me. I come home at 6 p.m. Caleb is usually in his room, headphones on, eyes distant. He doesn't hate me. He just doesn't know what to do with a mother who always seems like she's already gone. I live out of duty, not belief. I breathe out of habit, not hope. That afternoon, May 17, 2023, the radio broadcast an emergency alert. A superstorm is forming over North Texas. Seek shelter immediately. I looked up at the sky, thick and gray like ashes. But inside me was a strange feeling. A feeling, a kind of instinct I couldn't name, told me I had to go outside. Caleb said, "Are you crazy, Mom? Stay home." I smiled for the first time in weeks and said, "I'll be back soon." I didn't know why I was going. But I knew deep down, this trip would change everything. The wind howled like nature's furious choir. Thunder and lightning flashed relentlessly, as if capturing the final moments of the world, frame by frame. Headlights reflected through the rain like the eyes of a judging God. And then I saw him, a man stranded on the side of the road next to a flooded pickup truck. Without a moment's hesitation, I pulled over, jumped out into the storm, and shouted into the face of the chaos. "Get in! Now!" He turned. His face was pale as a ghost. In a single heartbeat, I reached out and touched his hand. Boom. It wasn't a sound that exploded, it was consciousness. It wasn't a blinding light, it was a light that pierced the soul. I fell. Not to the ground, but into a space with no weight, no time, no name to call it by. And if you ask me, was I afraid in that moment? No, because death didn't come as an enemy. It came like a messenger, holding an invitation for a soul that had gone far too long without hearing the call to come home. I thought I would see darkness, But the first thing I saw was myself without pain. There were no bells, no gates, only a moment of absolute stillness, as if every sound in existence had bowed before the presence of something too holy to name. I floated, gently, weightless. Nobody, no time. I knew I had died, but I wasn't afraid. On the contrary, I felt lighter than a sigh. I don't remember crying because there were no tears in that place. Only waves of warmth that wrapped around every cell of my soul, like a soft blanket made of light. You have many questions, the being said. But first, let's look back at what you once called your life. It had no human form, no beard, no limbs, no face. But it saw me, knew me, understood me. And when it spoke, I didn't hear it with my ears. I knew with every part of my soul. Welcome home, Elena. No judgment, no blame. Just me and me sitting together, watching every detail of my life unfold. I saw myself as a child being scolded unfairly by my mother. I saw the moment I screamed at Caleb when he was 11, simply because I was too exhausted to understand him. I saw myself quietly handing a piece of bread to a homeless man, not expecting a thank you. But the strange thing was, I could feel the emotions of others in every scene. Caleb's hurt, the stranger's quiet warmth, the tears in my mother's eyes as she scolded me. Every choice is a vibration, and each one leaves an echo in someone else's soul. I didn't feel regret. I felt understanding. I saw my mother. I didn't expect it. My mother, the one I had once resented, once blamed, and once felt unloved by. I was standing no more. No more distance. Only the gentle eyes she must have had the day I was born. She didn't speak. She simply reached out her hand. And I understood. I had carried the weight of resentment my whole life, like a stone lodged in my heart. And now, she was handing me the key to let it go. We didn't embrace with our arms, but with our souls. And in that moment, I became the child who, for the first time, knew what it meant to be fully loved. The being led me to another place, the library of light. There were no shelves, no paper. Each book was a soul. Each page held choices, lifetimes, and possible futures. I placed my hand on a stream of light and saw the earth and the future. I saw two worlds coexisting like two diverging paths born from a single choice. The future of humanity continues down the path of selfishness, loss, uncontrollable climate change, cities in ruins. People are filled with doubt. Souls hollowed out chasing after material things, drowning in loneliness and mass depression. Ideological wars. AI systems are manipulating human emotions. The future of humanity chooses love. The climate heals. Communities reconnect. Children laugh beneath green trees. Science and spirituality don't clash, they elevate each other. Spiritual awakening rises. People see one another as souls, not just bodies. Technology serves love. Wisdom walks hand in hand with kindness. This is what you must share if you choose to return. I was overwhelmed. I didn't want to leave this place. No pain, no anger, no time. But then I saw Caleb, his head resting beside my hospital bed, his hand holding mine, crying. And then a voice echoed from no one, from nowhere, "You're not finished yet." Dying was gentle. But coming back to life, that was the hardest part. I opened my eyes. No angels. No glowing pools of light. No mother. Just the hospital ceiling is dull and white. The smell of antiseptic. The beeping of machines, like a heartbeat forced to return. I wanted to go back. But God had said, "You're not finished yet." My body felt like it was burning from the inside out. My heart raced in chaos. My skin was raw. My head throbbed like it was being split open. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the loneliness of standing between two worlds. I was no longer the person I used to be. But no one knew what I had seen. "Mom, are you still my mom?" Caleb asked me 3 days after I woke up. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw his soul. A child is trying to grow up inside the emptiness left by his mother. A heart learning to hide the ache of being forgotten. I held my son. I said nothing. I simply let the tears from my soul wash away the invisible years between us. I came back not just to survive, but to truly live. I started to write. I recorded every detail of what I had seen. The library of light. The two possible futures for the world. The voice that said, "You're not finished yet." My mother's smile, after all those years, I couldn't forgive her. I created an online account. Posted a shaky video, telling my story. At first, it was just a personal journal. But over 3 million people watched. And every day, messages began to pour in from all over the world. I had a near-death experience, too. I understand. Your story made me stop thinking about ending my life. I called my mom after 10 years of silence because of one thing you said. I'm not here to scare anyone with disasters or doomsday warnings. I don't call myself chosen or a prophet. I'm just someone who saw that love is the only choice we have left. Not because we're weak, but because love is the only power that never needs to prove itself. And I forgave. I returned to my mother's grave. No longer bitter. No need for flowers. I sat, placed my hand on the earth, and whispered, I understand now. You loved the only way you knew how. Then I wrote a handwritten letter to my best friend's ex-husband, the man whose lie once fractured my marriage. I simply wrote, I no longer carry you in my heart. Freedom is for both of us. Forgiveness didn't make me weaker. Forgiveness brought me back to myself. I began visiting churches, retreats, small community gatherings, places where people quietly carry pain no one else can see. I didn't promise them heaven. I only shared one truth. I died once. And the only thing I regretted was not living with enough love while I was alive. You don't need to be struck by lightning to realize you're living disconnected from your heart. You just need to pause and ask, if today were my last day, am I living the life I truly want? I saw the end of the world. But what made me weep was the vision that it didn't have to end if only we had learned to love a little sooner. I don't know why God chose me. I don't believe I'm special. I was someone whose losses had hollowed me out until even my prayers ran dry. But in those 17 minutes between life and death, I was shown something more alive than a beating heart, love. I saw cities burning in the hearts of people, not from bombs, but from hatred. I saw the oceans rising, like tears that were never wiped away. I saw technology that knew everything, the library of light, the two possible futures for the world. The voice that said, you're not finished yet. My mother's smile, after all those years, I couldn't forgive her. I created an online account, posted a shaky video telling my story. At first, it was just a personal journal, but over 3 million people watched. And every day, messages began to pour in from all over the world. I had a near-death experience, too. I understand. Your story made me stop thinking about ending my life. I called my mom after 10 years of silence because of one thing you said. I'm not here to scare anyone with disasters or doomsday warnings. I don't call myself chosen or a prophet. I'm just someone who saw that love is the only choice we have left. Not because we're weak, but because love is the only power that never needs to prove itself. And I forgave. I returned to my mother's grave. No longer bitter. No need for flowers. I sat, placed my hand on the earth, and whispered, I understand now. You loved the only way you knew how. Then I wrote a handwritten letter to my best friend's ex-husband, the man whose lie once fractured my marriage. I simply wrote, I no longer carry you in my heart. Freedom is for both of us. Forgiveness didn't make me weaker. Forgiveness brought me back to myself. I began visiting churches, retreats, small community gatherings, places where people quietly carry pain no one else can see. I didn't promise them heaven. I only shared one truth. I died once. And the only thing I regretted was not living with enough love while I was alive. You don't need to be struck by lightning to realize you're living disconnected from your heart. You just need to pause and ask, if today were my last day, am I living the life I truly want? I saw the end of the world, but what made me weep was the vision that it didn't have to end if only we had learned to love a little sooner. I don't know why God chose me. I don't believe I'm special. I was someone whose losses had hollowed me out until even my prayers ran dry. But in those 17 minutes between life and death, I was shown something more alive than a beating heart, love. I saw cities burning in the hearts of people, not from bombs, but from hatred. I saw the oceans rising, like tears that were never wiped away. I saw technology that knew everything, except how to touch a soul. And then I saw something else, people rising. Gently, quietly, kindly. There were no miracles, only ordinary people, choosing love in brokenness. If you've ever felt like you weren't good enough, not beautiful enough, not strong enough, I want you to know this. You are an eternal soul, living a temporary life. If you've ever wanted to disappear, I want you to hear me. Death isn't what's truly frightening. What's heartbreaking is living without knowing how to love. If you're carrying anger, resentment, or unspoken pain, I want to invite you just once to lay it down. Because on the other side of life, no one asks you, how right were you? They only ask, how much did you love? Not everyone who dies comes back, but those who do often carry the same mark. Almost 2 months after my video went viral, I received a short email with no subject line. I believe you. I left my body too. I saw the same thing. We need to talk. At first, I thought it was just another message from a viewer. But then, I saw the image he had attached, a hand-drawn painting depicting the Library of Light, streams of energy, exactly like the place I had been to. It couldn't be a coincidence. Not when this stranger had drawn the very place I had once passed through, and never dared to describe in such detail before. We arranged to meet in Colorado, a small cafe tucked away in a quiet valley. Luke walked in, tall and slender, with dark hair and eyes that sent a chill through me, not out of fear, but because they held the same silence I had felt when I died. We didn't start with a hello. We started with, "Did you also see the hundreds of souls waiting to be reborn? Did you hear the question, if it's just you and me left, what will you do? Did you also see the two paths for humanity, and feel that one of them is drawing closer with each passing day?" The pieces began to fit. We sat there for 5 hours. No interruptions. No need for explanations. I spoke of the light. He spoke of the voices that whispered within it. I shared what it felt like to be pushed back into my body. He spoke of being given a mission, one he still didn't fully understand. Both of us had been told the same thing: "You're not finished yet." Since then, Luke and I decided to start a series of small gatherings called The Returned, a space for near-death survivors and soul travelers. At first, there were only 3 of us. Then 10. Then a woman from Oregon, who had died during childbirth, shared that she, too, had seen the Library of Light and heard the question about humanity's choice. After that first gathering, I began to dream of things that hadn't yet happened. A city covered in black smoke, a lost child crying in the middle of a shopping mall, a man placing his hand over his heart and saying, "We've known this all along," I told Luke. He was silent. Then he said, "I had the same dream. On the same night. We didn't know what was coming, but we knew we had been led to each other, not to stay silent." After each meeting, we opened the mic for anyone who wished to share. A man who had fallen from the 2nd floor spoke of a field where time didn't exist. A girl who went into anaphylactic shock at just 16 described a staircase of light, where each step was an emotion waiting to be released. An 83-year-old woman said, "I saw the place where those who took their own lives are healed by silence." Each of them thought they were the only one. But it turns out, there was an invisible community just waiting for them to speak. I'm writing these words after our 17th group gathering. Nearly 200 people from across the states have shared their stories. Some whispered, some wept, and suddenly I understood, maybe my mission wasn't to predict the future, but to awaken the soul's memory in those who have seen the light, but we were too afraid to speak, for fear of being called crazy. If you've ever had a dream unlike any other, if you've ever come close to death and seen something language cannot name, if you've ever heard a voice that came from no one but you, then maybe you've returned too. And maybe you're not finished yet. I saw the future of the world in the 17 minutes that I was dead. But you don't have to wait until then. You're alive. You still have time. You still have today to return to being kind. And if you're hearing this, then maybe you've been called. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is this: you are a small light in a world that's longing to feel warm again. Live. Forgive. Love. Because you're not finished yet. Have you ever experienced a sacred moment, a near-death experience, a strange dream, or simply a fleeting second when you felt something greater was guiding you? Tell us your story. Leave it in the comments below. Because who knows, your story might be the one that saves someone who's feeling lost. And if you believe the world needs more messages of light like this one, please follow the channel and share this video with someone you love. This channel isn't just about near-death experiences. It's a space where we remember together. To live is a privilege, and to love is a calling. Subscribe so you won't miss a single soul journey. You're not here by accident. You were led here.